Hi y'all, and welcome back to the garden. So it's Sunday evening. I've been working really hard today to get part of this bed started, as you can see behind me, and I'll go over that process briefly. Yesterday I went to the Browns and Sons nursery sale, and I was there nearly all day waiting for things that I wanted to bid on, and I ended up getting around 18 trees, I think it was. And some big shrubs, evergreens that I can go ahead and put in the garden, including some yews, which I'm going to put here, some ball yews, topiary form, which will be really nice. I got some pyramidal yews because I'm trying to replace some of those boxwoods. These right here, I still have not got to trimming back yet. You can see there's some dead in there. That's not looking great, but we're going to prune them back really hard, and probably the next week, hopefully. I did come through and take up as much rubber mulch as I could an evening earlier this week, and there's still a few pieces here and there, but most of it's gone. And this is another PSA to not put rubber mulch in your garden. And then I got over here near these windows, and it was like the worst of the worst. I pulled up the landscape fabric that had been put here, and then under the landscape fabric was more rubber mulch, and I kind of had a fit. It's just like the worst thing. So rubber mulch, landscape fabric, and then black mulch on top. So I got all of the landscape fabric cleared out of these beds. I got the boxwoods dug up here, and I went ahead and took out the begonias that were kind of dying off anyway right here and full of weeds. That's about all I got done during the week because it was pretty hot earlier in the week, and I couldn't really get out even in the evening because it was so warm. Like I said, yesterday I went to the auction, and today I got started on working on this bed right here. So this is not the final design of this bed. I ran out of cardboard, and so I used all of my cardboard up that I could, and I'll show you some pictures of this process. I did this at my last garden. I have a whole video on how to do this when you're starting a new bed. It's actually a series. It's like a step 1, step 2, step 3, I believe. But we had a bunch of boxes from moving, obviously, and then we had a lot of boxes I had gathered from the local furniture store, which was really nice. So I got to go back and get some more. Now, I did mow this grass really short this morning in kind of the design that I'm looking for. And you can see this is about half the size that it's ultimately going to be. The bed's going to come out to right here. You might can see the mow line that goes right to the driveway there. And I'll turn around here. The mow line is here. Now you can see it better. See, it kind of goes around at a nice curve and connects with that Japanese maple in the corner of the home here. So I've got to finesse this line a little bit. I did come through this morning, and also before I put down all of this mulch and cardboard, I ran what I'll just call my backbone of drip irrigation. I kind of edged this sidewalk, and I'll show a picture of what I did. And then I came through and laid just distribution tubing. And you can see it's curled up there to continue around the way. That way, it's the beginning of my grid to water this bed. The only thing that's going to really be planted in this bed this fall are some trees that I've already got that I'm going to show you in this video. Some trees that are coming that I'm having delivered from the auction that I ordered yesterday, and probably some hydrangeas. There's going to be a lot of perennials and more shrubs added at a later date next year, but for now, this method of using cardboard, you typically want to wait at least a season before you plant in it. You don't have to, but the grass needs to die, and if you start planting in it, then you're just going to have grass coming up, and it's kind of hard to get through some of this cardboard. But after it gets wetted down and rained, it'll be a little easier to dig in. So another thing, rain. We have had rain, as far as I can remember, once since we moved into this home a month and a half ago. It's not rained in over 2.5 weeks now. We've not cut grass in 2 weeks, and we're not going to have to cut it this week because look how short it is. It's even leaving prints where I've drove through it with a tractor because it's so dry. So you can see I've got little white flags up here. I will go over the trees I got in an auction in another video because there are just so many. But for now, I think this is good progress for a Sunday. I started out early this morning because it was like 63 degrees when I woke up around 7 o'clock, and I got a bunch done before lunchtime, and then I took a few hours break and came back out here and worked a couple more hours and got all of this. So even if this was all I got done, that's pretty successful. One of the trees is going here, so I didn't want to fill up too much of this space. I'm probably going to have to get some more mulch too. And I actually have, I'll just go ahead and tell you, a huge boxwood. Like, it would not fit in the back of my truck that I won from this auction. And I'm trying to decide where I want to put it. I think I want to kind of put it close to, like, in this area. Well, this area, let me show you. Here, I got to get it here. It's probably going to be much bigger in person than it showed at the auction, but it is really massive. And then I'm going to put something really like fastigia up right here between these two windows. And I think that's going to be a Kindred Spirit oak. I won one of those at the auction as well. And it's pretty large, and I think it'll look good there. They only get 4 to 6 foot wide, so I can pull it out from the foundation a little bit, and it'll go straight up and provide some backdrop against the brick there. Not sure though. I really wanted a Weeping Norway spruce to go right there, and I may still go that route. After the Kindred Spirit oak gets delivered, I'll put it over here and we'll see what it kind of looks like, and if I'm not loving it, then I'll go the Weeping Norway spruce route. But they had a huge one at the auction and it went for $1,000. It was the only one they had. And I wasn't about to pay that for it. So they have 10 gallons though that I can get. So I might get a smaller one here and we'll just let it grow in. That's fine. But some of these trees that I got, y'all, are massive. So it's going to be like an instant garden for some of these. I got a red bud clump. Okay, I'm going to stop telling you because that's for another video. Let's go see the trees that I already have here that it's going to be used to fill this bed behind me right quick. And while I'm walking this way, I will put on the screen a very quick design that I've done for this bed that's not complete. So you'll be able to see based on the trees that I'm showing you where these are going to be placed and what it's going to look like. And I might actually have to wait a few minutes because the sprinkler just came on, or I can turn it off and then we can take a look and I can turn it back on. Let's do that. Okay, I've got that turned off. As far as the drip, I'm going to show you a drip 103 video. I did a drip 101 video a couple years ago. Earlier this year when I was redesigning the front beds at the old home, I did kind of a drip 102 video, and my drip 103 is going to be kind of setting everything up from your hose bib, because I do not have irrigation at this house. Everything's going to be operational on the hose bib. But you can see I run this drip backbone over here to the hose bib. The plumbers did not come last week. They're supposed to come Tuesday. Or they did come and found out that they couldn't repair the faucets. There weren't replacement parts available. These faucets, or these hose bibs, are 30 years old. They don't really make them anymore, and they have to be, because we have to have frost-free faucets here, they have to be removed, the entire stem inside of the house. And so luckily 2 of them are easy to replace because you can access them from a closet. The one on the front of the home, there's going to have to be a hole cut in the sheetrock, but luckily it's in the basement in another closet, and we're just going to put an access door there for in the future if anything needs worked on. But it wasn't like a quick, easy project where you could just replace parts because they were so old, or in the South you may not have to have frost-free faucets. And so replacing the hose bibs aren't as in depth and as much of a problem here. So it's taken a bit to get those working, but hopefully Tuesday I will have all of the hose bibs replaced, and then we can move forward with starting the drip, because it has been so hot with no rain and it was almost impossible to dig in the ground today when I was trying to dig up some things in the front. All right, so let's go over some of these trees. I'm really excited about all of these. Some of these you'll recognize from my prior home. Actually only one of them, I guess. maybe 2. This is a Midnight Express Red Bud, and this is actually in the Proven Winners collection, and I found it at a local garden center. So if you followed me on Instagram, I showed a video of this in July on my Instagram. It has a really dark foliage. It looks kind of rough right now. Siebenthaler's where I got this. I think they have one more available. Tends to overhead water, and then our water's so hard here that it gets calcification on the leaves. But it's really beautiful. Typically has darker foliage than this. It might be protected in a greenhouse, and why it doesn't have as green or as dark a foliage right now. Right here, this, I would love to have another red obelisk beech, but I have more space at this home, and the red obelisk beeches come from Oregon, and they sold all of them this year at Siebenthaler's, and so I wasn't able to get another one, and they don't know if they'll order any for next year. So alternatively, which this is a really good alternative, it gets a little wider, probably grows a little faster than the beech, and it also has really gorgeous leaves though too. So this is a maple. It's called Crimson Century, and it's this dark purple color all year. I was actually a little disappointed in the red obelisk beech, and it may have just been because it was first year planted, but when I went back and saw one of my neighbors at my old home a few weeks ago, the leaves were more green, so they emerge really red, but they kind of get like a muddy green red color afterwards is what I was experiencing. This one is a really good still red color. I mean, the back of the leaves are a little more green, but you can see that beautiful dark purpley red here. And this is a low branch tree, so I can still underplant on it. It will get, let's see how big it gets here if it says. It doesn't say. I think they can get up to 10 foot wide and then pretty tall, but it's going to go in the area kind of where the birch was. I'll walk you up there and show you where some of these are gonna go, and you can see it in the design and the picture that I showed. This is a Rising Sun Red Bud that I picked up from Natorps earlier this week. It is the one I had in my last garden, really beautiful. Right now all the leaves are pretty green, but as it starts putting on new growth, the leaves emerge like a yellow or orange, and then they turn orange, and then they turn green. So it's kind of got yellow, orange, and green on it at all times in the spring, and then in the fall again when it starts pushing some new growth. So now those are 3 of the trees that are bigger that'll be going in the garden. Not as big as the ones I got from Browns and Sons, but I've got a few Coosa dogwoods that I want to show you that are tiny, but will grow pretty quickly, I think, and will be glorious in that space up front in the design that I showed you. The first one is this variegated dogwood, which is going to be really pretty. And this one, let me find the variety name, because this is some that I got at Bob's Garden Fair, and this one's called Stellar Pink. So it's got variegated leaves and beautiful blooms in the spring, pretty early. It's pretty smaller right now, but it'll get pretty large, and that'll be a nice variegated touch of color. And I'm going to place this one kind of next to this one, so you can see how the contrast in color will be there. Got 3 more dogwoods to show you. This is a Venus dogwood, which if you've never seen the Venus dogwood, I'll show pictures of these on the screen. They have the most large, huge blooms on them in spring. So really gorgeous, and it grows fairly quickly, gets fairly large, and kind of a medium-sized, small to medium-sized tree that'll be back kind of in the center of that bed along where the sidewalk curves. We got a couple more dogwoods. This one was one I saw and I picked up. It's called Radiant Rose. It is a Coosa, but it has pink blooms, which I thought was really beautiful. The last Coosa I had at my home bloomed white, and pink blooming ones are kind of hard to find. So this one blooms pink, really beautiful. Show a picture on the screen. And then there's one more hiding in here that also blooms pink. Oh yes, this one right here. This is called Benny Fuji. It also blooms pink. I think it stays a little smaller than the Radiant Rose, but also really, really beautiful, and will go up front as well. So let's go back up front shortly and I'll show you where I'm going to be placing some of these things. You can also see it in the video, but to get an idea of spacing, how I'm going to lay these out. One of the ultimate goals is kind of to plant up this space, but that's on hold and probably something I'll work on next year because we are having geothermal heating and cooling installed, and I have no idea where they need to dig the wells for those. Our actual well is here already behind this burning bush, which also needs to come out, and these peonies, but I don't know where they're going to have to drill the wells for the geothermal yet, but I want to like put some privacy in front of this fence. So if I don't put the Kindred Spirit oak at the front of the house, I may stick it here because it'll stay really skinny, and then add some evergreens in front of this fence as well. The fence has got to be refinished, so I don't want to plant too many things around the fence this early because it'll need to be like sandblasted, primed, and recoated in black paint, and that's going to be a project for next year probably. All right, I also came through and removed all the rock that was around this bed, and it was 2 stacked high, some of them really big. Thank goodness for the tractor. It has been the biggest help this year already. But we'll look this way so you can see, I think you can see how this bed's going to take shape. It's going to start here at the driveway, kind of swoop in and then swoop around the sidewalk there to the other side of the home back there. So the Crimson Spire oak, there's actually going to be a tree here that's going to get up to 20 foot tall and wide, I think on the big side, so it'll probably be smaller than that. And the Crimson Century oak is going to go somewhere here. I'm not putting it all the way over there where the birch was, primarily because we got to get that stump removed first. But I think it's going to be in this area, probably right here at the corner, to kind of provide some nice upright contrast or growth here along the side of the house. So right here, maybe. I got to fill it out, bring it up here and set it up. There's going to be a big evergreen here that I'll show you in a separate video after those get delivered this week. They'll be delivered sometime this week. And let's pop on the screen what this is intended to look like in the coming years. It's obviously not going to look like this immediately. All of these things that I'm planting are fairly small, except a lot of the things I got at Brown's, but you can get an idea of how this is going to be planted next year, because I hope to have this fully planted out and by the end of spring anyway. So there's a lot to do here, but we're going to have big blue evergreen here. Probably it's going to be the variegated dogwood somewhere in this area. And we're going to tuck all of these to the back of the bed. So you can see the edge here where I mowed this a little shorter. So all of the trees will go kind of in the back part of it. So the front can be filled with shrubs and perennials and annuals. I want this to be a really beautiful grand entrance to the home and something really wonderful to walk through since I have all of this space to utilize here. So trees, another tree there. And then over here, we're going to put some of the things I talked about earlier. So there'll be another tree here. The Venus dogwood, I think I'm going to put on the corner, which you can see in the video or in the picture right here. And I think that will be really lovely. It'll probably go left or right here because I have another tree from Brown's that I kind of want to stick here that'll be really pretty. So it probably will end up settling right here-ish, which you can see there. I am hoping we get rain this week. It looks like it might rain Tuesday. I sure hope so, other than the plumbers are supposed to come Tuesday. So maybe it can hold off while they get their stuff done and rain later in the afternoon. But I could not even stick dowels or these landscape stakes into the ground to help me mark where these trees are going because the ground is so hard. I actually had to water the hostas in. You may have saw all those holes here. I dug up the hostas that were just scorching here. Probably never should have been planted there, even under the birch. and I could not get a shovel even in the ground without watering them in. So that's how dry it is here, and I'm definitely not going to be able to dig holes for these trees to get them planted. That's going to be a project in and of itself. It's probably not something I'll shoot because some of these trees have really big root balls, and so it's going to involve moving them with the tractor and pulling them on a rope into the hole, probably with the tractor, best I can. So that's going to be an interesting task, but it'll allow me to add some bigger things here for immediate impact next year, when I'm hoping this garden will be really beautiful and lovely. So I don't know how much more I will be buying this year. There are some shrubs that I want to pick out, like some Fire Chief Arborvitae, to fill the space here next to this blue thing. So probably a trio right here. And a few other things, but I'm going to try and get planted what I have available right now, because I do have a lot available in the back before I buy any more deciduous shrubs. Most of the things I'll probably be buying are evergreens, because you just can't, it's best to plant them this time of year and not plant them in the spring, because they'll struggle more in the heat. But everything will be on drip irrigation, hopefully, and work really well after we get the water issue resolved. So thank you guys for joining me. And remember, in a world full of hate, be a light. Take care, everyone. Bye.